Society wants the man to be masculine and the woman to be feminine. We all have those traits. Feminine man is like a mama's boy. A masculine woman, sometimes it could be tough for the simple fact like they don't know how to allow someone else to lead.
Feminine energy is a lot of things, and let me be clear. We as women, we can typically do all the things, but I think in today's society, especially living in America, we often don't get to do certain things because of how we're wired and programmed and conditioned.
Speaking of men, since you started that off, yeah, we're gonna get into that. So tell us what made you go into this direction of relationships.
You really want to know the answer? Let me give you the long and short. Oftentimes, the best teachers were once the worst failures. So I went into this work because about 10 years ago, I was actually literally exactly 10 years ago, I did not know if I was going to live or die. Because I was in not only the worst toxic and abusive relationship that I had ever been in, but I had been exposed to something that was life-threatening. And I didn't know what my prognosis or diagnosis was going to be, if you're following me. And that was the biggest wake-up call that I could have ever had. Certainly wouldn't have signed up for, but that pushed me into really finding myself. Because when you find yourself in a relationship where you are willing to settle for all types of craziness because you're so into someone else, it really made me do some deep soul searching and inner healing that I clearly needed to do so that I didn't continue the same dysfunctional patterns in relationships that I had been in even prior to that. I think when things are bad and they keep getting worse, it's because we're not paying attention, we're not learning the lessons. So I started learning the lessons after that. And then as I began to heal, I began to share. And as I began to share, I began to figure out, I've been doing this type of thing. I learn and I teach. I learn and I teach. And then I decided to get my life coaching certification and realized that this was my jam because I've lived the experience of quantum leaping from chaos and turmoil in relationships into the complete opposite. And I wanted to help other people do the same.
Mm-hmm. Yes, like I remember when I kind of caught your channel like right when it was just starting to develop, and I was like, oh, okay, this sister, she has something, and there's a lot of controversy. So you would see me like, okay, I get it. So that's where it starts. Like I always say, like all of us inside like the helping profession, it starts from some type of experience, and most of our experience comes from pain. And in order to give that authentic perspective, you have to have some type of skin in it, some type of this, so you can be relatable and not just theory. Let me ask, when you're giving out this information, is this just like opinion, or are you getting this from some type of statistics? Is this just your experience? Where are you gathering this information?
It's all of the above, and I also have to throw in, aside from opinion, experience, and statistics, because I'm a nerd, I research, I'm a lifelong student, I believe in that. I check in with my husband. Because I'm like, let me not just say what I think, because I can have an opinion, but if it's not based in reality on what a man has actually said or thinks, then I'm not really providing the fullest or the best information and advice if it's not balanced with that masculine perspective.
Absolutely. In order to get like what it is, you have to go to that gender, I do that all the time. Like if I'm not sure, I go to sisters. I'm like, So why is this way? Why is this that way? And that is so true. Like even as a female, you do have to like get into the males. All right. So some of the things that you're touching on. So you're married. But when you're talking to individuals who are not, let's just say that they got into like a relationship and they're new to the relationship, not new to having relationships, but new to it. What does that information looks like? Let me add a little bit more to it. When someone gets into a new relationship, they done past the 6 months. And now, the honeymoon phases is over, the blindfolds is off, the butterflies is gone, and they get into their first friction. And now they're not really understanding how to deal with that. Like, where do you come in and you coach them and guide them?
So here's some tea. I and my husband, we went through premarital counseling, obviously, before we got married. But one of the things that I started realizing is premarital counseling should be a thing you do whether you're married or not, whether you're looking to be married immediately or not. Because what it offers is the opportunity to make sure that both parties are on the same page from day one. It also reinforces what is the purpose and what is the goal or the outcome of us being together. Because when you realize whether we plan on getting married or not, our goal in being together should be to experience a loving, a productive, a joyous relationship with one another. And so premarital counseling offers you the opportunity to learn how to build that. And not just how to build that, but how to approach contrasting situations when they arise. So when you do have that first argument, we have the communication tools on how to navigate through it healthily versus not knowing how to communicate, arguing, stonewalling, fighting beneath the belt. And now we're not on the same page. We're opposites. We're opponents fighting against each other. And so I always recommend before you even make that serious commitment when you do, enroll yourself into premarital counseling. Doesn't have to be anything wrong. In fact, I propose that it helps you make sure that things go and stay right. So we have to reframe how we think about therapy and counseling. It's almost like going to the mechanic to get an oil change. Every 3,000 to 5,000 miles, you're tuning up your vehicle. Well, your relationship is a vehicle as well. So we have to do these things as maintenance, not waiting until the wheels fall off and then expecting a mechanic, aka a relationship counselor, to perform a miracle when stuff should have been done consistently all along.
Right. Like you said something very interesting when you're talking about when you get into these combats, people becoming an enemy instead of realizing that we're still partners. And that's where a lot of it comes from, is because like we all want to get something out, we all trying to get our point across, but at the same time the impact overlaps the intention. That happens a lot. When you hear potential, what is dating potential? What do you think about that?
Okay, real quick, Twist. You said something and it made me think about a second answer to your question really quick, if I can interject. The other thing that I wanted to mention, if it'll come back to me, because now I feel like it's fleeting. Learning the purpose and being reminded of the purpose of being together. So premarital counseling is one thing, but also this is something that's very key. This is actually something that we were going to talk about and make sense about as it pertains to astrological signs in relationships and partners. Well, even if you don't know that, I think one helpful thing, especially starting out in a relationship, whether you're at the 3 or the 6 month mark, is understanding what you are both there to teach each other. What you are both there to give and receive from one another, because that will also help you reshape, okay, me and you are not supposed to be on the same page about everything, because you provide a different perspective that I may need in this situation, and I provide one for you. And so it often helps to diffuse arguments when you realize that it's not either or. You're either right or you're wrong, or I'm either right or I'm wrong. It sometimes and a lot of times is both and.
Mm-hmm.
We both have valid opinions, and how can we incorporate both so that we are both feeling like we're winning and that one person isn't always having to compromise. So when we can learn, okay, I'm here to gather this from you, or I'm here to give this to you, I'm here to receive this from you, it can help realize or remember rather the yin and yang of a relationship without arguing about things and feeling defensive. It's learning how to see and celebrate the differences.
Right. I definitely agree with that. I think like when we have hard conversations, the idea of it is that we're both trying to, of course, like I said, the intention, we want something from each other. We want to grow from this. But the hard part about it is that like someone feels like, hey, what I'm saying is important and probably like more important than what you're saying right now. Like I get it, but do you get it? And I think sometimes we overlap each other with not being present in that moment and just processing what we're both saying. But because we're upset and we're human, it's just like, yeah, you know, I heard what you said, but did you hear what I said too? Whether it's nice or keeping it cute, like, did you hear me, babe? Or did you hear me, honey? Okay. Just wanted to make sure to clarify, but you're only clarifying one part. I think the best practice is to make sure that instead of answering on a surface level, that we both hear what each other is saying, sit on it, give something for that moment so you can validate that you did hear them and be like, hey, let me take a look at that. I'm not sure how I want to answer that right now, but I'm just assuring you that we'll pick up this conversation and I am going to take a look at it. And I'm sorry for whatever I'm doing. Be apologetic.
I love the fact that you said sit on it, because oftentimes the argument starts when we're listening or waiting to respond. Let me butt in. But when you can train yourself or know this is our protocol, let me take a moment before I just react. Right. So when that is in place, when that's a practice that you do in a relationship, it can definitely diffuse or completely dismiss arguments, because now you're having a conversation, a healthy one that's paced, that's not overly emotional or sensational, all those things. So I love that you said that. And then also the willingness and the humility to not only listen, but to apologize if something we've said or done has offended our partner, because that shouldn't be our intent either.
Mm-hmm. It's not for the intent. And I'll say that because it's experience. Like, me and my partner, like, we would fight and, like, it was always, like, surface level. I'll say something real fast just to, like, you know, get it off. I'm a reactor. I do in post. But I also learn the tools to actually, you know, sit back and, like, hold on. What does this mean? What is this going on? Like, what is she saying about this? And instead of responding at the moment to what I think I heard or what I think is being delivered, I learn now to actually sit and like listen to it. But let's get back to the opportunist. Remember I was telling you the opportunist, I added something to it. So when you hear opportunist, what do you think the difference is between an opportunist and opportunity?
Okay, I was thinking dating potential.
Dating or marriage. I mean, people go into marriage and don't know that they're with an opportunist. But however it resonates with you. I was throwing that in there because I've been watching some shows with the sisters.
Okay, so do we want to talk about dating potential first, or do we want to talk about opportunists first?
You know, I'm gonna let you do the source. Do what you do on your channel. Do that type of stuff.
Okay,
I'm gonna try to and do what you want.
Together. Because maybe in addressing dating potential, we'll be able to highlight what it's not, and that may include opportunists.
Right.
The first thing, Twist, I think, when it comes to dating potential, the prerequisite for understanding that is being clear on what your dating goals are. If you're looking to date for marriage, your goals are going to be different. The people that you want to attract are going to be different than if you, let's say, got divorced and you're not looking to get into a long-term serious commitment and you just want to have fun and shop around, your dating goals determine what is considered potential for you. Now, I tend to work with people who are done with shopping around. They're ready to get into a long-term committed partnership or marriage. That's who I mainly work with. And so if someone is in that lane, dating potential means that they have the same ideas or goals as you do. They are wanting to be in a long-term committed partnership. At least that's what they're vocalizing. You can also follow that up with observation as far as their actions are concerned. They're talking, they're having conversations about future. They're having conversations about marriage. These are people whose conversations surround what you want. That is a key indicator of dating or good dating potential. The other thing with good dating potential for long-term partnerships is seeing what their timeline is, because weeding out the good from the bad is knowing, okay, how do people typically behave when they want to string someone along? They're non-committal. There are signs. Not so great dating potential when you want a long-term partner is dealing with someone who says, I'm not really interested in labels. Okay? That's one way to tell that this person may not be a great dating fit. Another dating fit is if they're not really available for you. They make every excuse as to why they can't show up as much or show up on time, or you're an afterthought. So it's not that you get, days notice to prep for a date. They're calling you at the last minute. You want to come over and hang out. Feels kind of like I'm an afterthought. Like no, it doesn't seem like you really put a lot of thought into this. So might be a red flag. Now, when we talk about opportunists, especially when it comes to women assessing, well, this actually goes both ways. So let me be very transparent about that. When a person is interested in discussing the benefits that they can get from you, and because it's not just what I can give, some people are actually smart enough to think about, okay, not what I can take, but what I can give too. Some people will see, oh, this is a prime opportunity for me to make myself a power couple with this individual, because I already got my thing going on. And if I get with her and she got her thing going on, and we can have this mutual exchange, then that's going to make my business skyrocket, and that's going to make my money skyrocket and my status skyrocket. So I think when you have a conversation with someone and it more so leans toward what you can do for them, that's a red flag that someone may only be in it for the bag or for the benefits.
No,
and
that
also
is
what
true.
their reaction is when you can't give it to them. Because if they become sour and salty and now they don't want to talk and they stonewalling and it's a problem, it's an argument, that's another red flag. Like, okay.
When you're trying to select a partner, like, it all depends on what your preference is, and that is something that becomes huge when we become adults. Finances. And finances shouldn't be the forefront. It shouldn't be the overall. It should be a part of the foundation. But some of us like that bag. More power to them. But, if finances is the only thing that, drives your relationship, because, you want to... That comes from, an underlying cognitive issue in itself, like survival or not having much growing up. So, this is where you look for things. You look for that financial security and stability rather than that substance and a foundation of a relationship. Sucks. You talk on your channel. You did the things that things for men. You did things for women. How are you coming up? And when I say things for men, and let me be more specific for the people viewing. You do things that turn men off, or like not to do like for them, or like just like things that like work for the women, giving us men tips and stuff. How do you come up with this information? I know you just said that you do your education, you deep dive in. You say your husband helps you. Are you talking to different males that are around you, just getting the statistics and gathering the information? Or are you watching any TV shows that are geared towards this? Like, how do you develop your content that you're about to put out for us to learn something?
So it comes in a variety of different ways. I typically don't watch a lot of TV. Honestly, my TV for the longest, probably for a decade, has been YouTube. So that's my entertainment. But occasionally I will watch TV, and when I do, I will see certain scenes or situations happen in a show, and it's like, oh, I need to talk about that, because let me say what it is and what it's not. So I will get some examples or ideas of topics, watching stuff. A lot of times it's with the clients that I work with. So they may be going through different situations, and we're having conversations, and I'm thinking, I need to pin this because there's a lot more that I can say, and a lot more people that could probably benefit from this conversation outside of my one-on-one session with this client. Also, it's the experiences that I have in my marriage on a consistent basis that make me think, oh, if women really knew what marriage was, if women really knew what the purpose of it was, because I'm like, thinking about some of my single friends, sometimes I've wanted to say, girl, stay single. Stay single, because when I hear certain conversations from my single ladies, I'm thinking, you in a fantasy. You in a fantasy about what you think it is on this side, And so I listen to conversations with girlfriends that I have. And then some stuff is based on research. I will occasionally, I don't do this much, but occasionally I have looked at trending topics in relationships online to see, okay, what are people talking about? Certain things that I don't necessarily look for that just pop up in my For You feed, pop, celebrity, culture, news, all that stuff. If it relates, sometimes, and I haven't done it much, but I may incorporate it more, ideas will come from that as well.
Okay. I feel that, like, when you were saying, I laughed because, like, there's different areas of, like, what the expectation is from, like, single people and people who are in relationships. And yeah, it's like when someone doesn't have a kid, or someone does have a kid, and the person who has a kid is like, yo, don't have this kid. Like, marriage, I have not yet to get married, but I'm understanding what it is to be in those foundations, in theory, not in experience. But I have people who have long-term marriages. And I always inquire about some questions. I always ask them, like, how do you do it? Like, surface level, everyone looks so happy and cool, and, like, on the social medias, make it and look good, cool. But there is a lot of work, and I'm sure that you can agree to this. You don't need to get into it, but, like, just, like, there is a lot of work that I learned. You do have to wake up every day, and you have to choose to show up for this person, even if you're upset with them, even if you're mad with them, no matter what the circumstances is, you have to show up. That's even inside of committed relationships. I'm not talking about the people with the side pieces or the sneaky links. Like, once you get to a certain stage, you're dating to marry. So when you start dating to marry, you start to, pick up what your partner's putting down. Like, you're starting to catch things like, what can I do to be beneficial to the situation? How can I show up for this person? How can they show up for me? How can this be a relationship where it's like, I'm not just gaining, they're not just gaining, but it's one hand wash the other, and we're coming a unit. Like, it's not just what you could do for me. and make me happy, and vice versa is what we could do for each other. Like, how can we have a united forefront, but also have strong foundation in the middle and the back, not just look good for the eye? And that takes work.
Twist, let me say this, because you said it. You said a lot in what you just shared. There are a couple things. I come from the school of social media being literally about the face card. Facebook was, well, technically it was MySpace. I think MySpace may have come before Facebook, but the purpose of Facebook before it was open up to the world was about showing your face, literally. Everybody cheeses for the camera. And it's social and it's fun. And it's about the people that you know and interact with. So it was never designed to be this news buzzworthy thing about all the current events that are happening and all the terrible things that you stop watching the news for. Now it's on Facebook. That's never what it was intended for. So I say that to say, I never used social media for the purpose of let me air out my dirty laundry.
Right.
And I think when it comes to relationships, there's a fine line between what happens in the real world and what happens on social media. I think people have abused social media by trying to look more than what they are, or being negligent and completely irresponsible and telling the entire world unnecessarily their dirty laundry and their business. And so we have to be careful with the reasons we use social media for. So there's that. The other thing is the myths about relationships long term. Because I often hear, oh, it's so much work. And I have to say, when you are with the right partner, it actually doesn't really feel like work. With the other person, you may have moments where it's like, but holistically, when you have chosen well, that is key. When you have chosen well, your partner holistically, for the most part, will and should feel easy to get along with. So when you do have those moments of, damn, I wish we didn't have to talk about this, it's not this, huge issue, because you're not having all of these huge issues the entire time of your relationship. The other thing that I say is people often don't have relationship issues, Twist. They have personal issues that seep into the fabric of your relationship. So before you can say, oh, how can I show up for this other person? And how can this person show up for me? No. How do you show up for yourself? Because if you're looking for somebody else to fix you, we're dead in the water from the beginning. It's not someone else's job to make you a happy individual. It's not someone else's job to fix your emotional problems. And that's oftentimes what we get into relationships doing and thinking. I'm miserable and I'm looking for this man in white and shining armor on a horse to come and rescue me from myself, because I have all this baggage that I've been carrying, thinking that a man is going to solve it. No. You have to solve and work on your own self, heal your own self, and show up as a whole individual. And then that person is responsible for doing their work. That, to me, if there is any work to do, I would say it's while you're in a relationship. That is the focus, not so much on the relationship. Work on yourself in a relationship, not necessarily the other person, you know what I'm saying, when you're with them.
You better eat. Come on, stop. You eating over here. Yeah. Nah, I definitely do agree. Like, you are absolutely right. Like, trying to show up and saying relationships so hard, like, you are, everything you said is accurate. It becomes more fulfilling, and what comes actually that easy. But a person should not feel that difficult. So you are absolutely right. When you choose well, it definitely makes a difference. So it's not the person that's the problem per se. It's just the problem that's the problem. And y'all can focus on that, and y'all can actually, go through battle with it and the argument, but you're just arguing about the situation, not the person. You gotta love that. How about people who are not married, but they're gaining to marry. You said something about myths of long-term relationships. Give us a few of those, and let me see what I grab out of that, and I'm gonna start jumping into it and catch one of them and like see if you could give us some more.
Okay, so I said one of the myths was thinking that someone else is going to solve your problems, thinking that relationships are hard.
No.
Here's one. Thinking that marriage especially is the old ball and chain where you're locked into basically a death sentence. And I used to think, men run from marriage because that's what you typically hear men joke about. And okay. I would have to say, in my personal experience, the freer you are with your partner, meaning there are no cuffs, meaning you're free to do what you want to do, obviously if it's not a harm to you or myself, the more secure and stable and long-lasting your relationship has a tendency to be. Because when you're possessive and you're trying hard to hold on to something because really you're afraid of losing it, you inevitably will. So it's not that relationships are a ball and chain. It's really getting in touch with what fear or control issues do you have that would make you feel like you have to treat someone like they're a slave. That's one thing. But then two, what makes you afraid of being treated like a slave? And let me also throw this in there. I don't feel like marriage is for everybody. I don't think everybody should be married. I think some people aren't meant to be, and there's nothing wrong with that. I think the problem comes when people who aren't meant to be married try to do it anyway, and they end up being in something where it's like, man, this is the old ball and chain. Because realistically, you were probably supposed to be a free bird. That really wasn't in the cards for you. Now, you can learn something from it, but I think it's really understanding and accepting who we are and what we're meant to do in this life. But anyway, as far as people who are actually looking to be married and the myths surrounding it, I don't know. I'm going to stop talking and let you chime in.
No, I caught it. Some of the myths. Let me just chime into that. Some of the myths is that like they're like, for me, my opinion, we hear people say all the time like there's that one out there, that perfect one. No, I don't believe that there is that one for you. I feel like you make a person your person, because I feel like if it was the one out there for you, that like you probably would have just dated one person and then married one person. You have to explore and figure out what you don't like, what you dislike, so you could become the higher version of you, so you can find out what happiness is for you first, and then you find a person. That's what I feel. And like, no, there's not one or a few persons. And like, let's say lightly for the married people out there, if you got married and then you got divorced, that was your person. But there's another person out there too that you make your person. And how you make people your people is when you get with someone, no, you don't just say this is love at first sight and me and you gonna be together. That's attraction, that's the lust. Like, you actually have to do like the phases, the stages, ask the right questions. Whatever the relationship requirements are for you. What can you not take? What are you not going to tolerate? What is your pet peeves? However you want to explore, like, how can someone add to your foundation or be beneficial? What are no's? Like, make sure that you give everybody that, like, you are, like, thinking of investing in or becoming a partnership when you get to a certain age. Make sure that you give them all the tools that they need. If you're curious about wanting to invest, the tools for success. Make sure that you give them those tools, not just for them to be successful, so they can make the right choice and they can figure out if this is something for them. Make sure that you give those tools for you to be successful, because the more you withhold, the less they're going to be able to perform. Give them everything that they need. And that does not come without me going through some shit, okay? And
and
everyone's
discovering
going
and
through.
learning more of who you are, because that's the other thing.
Yes.
Oh, this is a good one. I'm glad you said that, Twist. Another myth or false assumption about relationships that people should just show up ready-made, tailor-made, knowing how you are, perfectly communicating, reading your mind, and we don't take the time to really know ourselves to communicate who we are, what we think, how we feel, what it is that we want. We just assume the other person should know. And that causes a lot of issues too, because it's like, well, how did you not know that? I said, and it's something completely different, but they're thinking, I say this, so this equates to that because you can hear it in my tone and see it in my face, or you saw what happened in the last situation. And it's not that way. But a lot of times people don't know how to say, hi, I'm Portia. This is A, B, C, D, and E about me. This is what works best for me. These are my likes and these are my dislikes. We oftentimes don't have conversations like that when we first start out, because oftentimes we haven't even gotten in touch with ourselves alone.
Absolutely.
So we're discovering things in the context of these relationships. And it's unfair, honestly, to the other person, because sometimes you're blindsided. It's like, well, I didn't know that. Well, they didn't know that to tell you either. So whose fault is it, you know? So it's important to, again, work on yourself, know yourself, so you can fully and adequately share those things with a partner so that they are fully in the know too.
Okay. Now, we didn't get to do our cameo because we were working on that. But now that I got you in an interview, we still gonna visit it. I want to talk about feminine energy when it comes to men and women. So the feminine men and the masculine women, like what that energy looks like. In your perspective, like give us a little brief definition of what that looks like and make some of the statements you want to make about it. And I'll give my perspective of it, and let's see what we come up with out there. And then after that, I want to touch a little bit about your coaching journey, and we'll close it out because I can see the time was like getting pressed on it. But I want to make sure that like people get what they need from you out there. So
okay, awesome.
let's get that first. Let's get that first. Oh, we're going to like the feminine energy and the masculine energy.
Got you.
And we're going to talk about the feminine man and the masculine women. Like, let's talk a little bit. Touch on whatever is resonating and just give it out there for you.
Okay, so the first thing that I want to touch on is the fact that femininity in men and masculinity in women does not define their sexuality. Most people think, oh, a feminine man has to be gay, or a masculine woman has to be a lesbian. That's not true. So to put it very plainly, a masculine woman is someone who is typically seen as domineering. She controls everything. She doesn't know how to receive. She's over functioning and doing everything for everybody. She doesn't know how to rest. Whereas a feminine man, he can show up as seeming ultra passive. He doesn't take the lead. He's waiting for someone else to make the decisions. And so that's kind of how those dynamics will show up in relationships. So a masculine woman with a feminine man will feel like, gosh, I'm so tired. Do I have to decide everything? Do I have to do everything? Do I have to steer him and tell him what to do? Everything from the bills to how to clean a house to how to treat me, like buy me some flowers, that's how it can practically show up in relationships.
Right. Like for me, I took the other approach. Like I had to dig for this. Like I had to like get into the people. I had to get into like the statistics of it, and I came into like a feminine man is like a mama's boy. Like probably has a lot of sisters. Probably has like mom did everything. Probably didn't have a dad figure. Like this goes deep. I won't go too deep, but I'm just trying to paint the picture of why that may have looked like that on like the behavior science and like the mental side is because something was missing there. Like they weren't taught the tools. They don't have that foundation of having that strong macho-ness or that independence. When it comes to that masculine woman, the underlying factor in most cases is they were abandoned. they had to be that strong person. They had to become the leader. They had to have that integrity. They had to get that backbone. Like, they cannot rely on people. People show that they cannot be relied on, so they have to do their own. Then others, that's just how they are. You got some guys out there who are just like soft like that. I mean, we just know that. And we got some women out there who's just tough. Like, it's just natural, but it's not all the way natural. There's always an underlying and hidden figure of why that looks like that. The other part about it is that it's more of the emotional part that I've seen too. Like, men who are like tapped in with their feminine side is like they're able to be more vulnerable, whine and you know, whatever we want to call it. Let me not say that. Men, don't be afraid to cry.
No, please don't be afraid to cry.
I didn't mean to make it in front of us, but you know, we were taught. That's a whole nother story, but I guess no. But we're considered whiners, like others are like, you know, basically it's not enough room for, you know, the young lady, the sister to cry because you're always crying. But it's also like they're good listeners. They do show up, but like physically, yes, they are very lackadaisical. They don't show up. Like, why do I have to tell you everything? Clean your room.
Clean your room.
But here's the hard part about both is because is that like we all have those traits. Like, it's just like some of us, like it shows more. We all have feminine traits. We all have masculine traits.
Right.
But as a male and as a female, like society wants the man to be masculine and the woman to be feminine. And it's okay to like share that responsibility. It's okay for men to be vulnerable. It's okay for women to be tough. Right. But it should never be to where that like we're not like demonstrating the roles we are like put to be in. And when I say put to be in, I'm not talking about statistics. I'm talking about figure out what your relationships look like. If you're dealing with a masculine woman, then like feed off of that masculinity and let her feed off of your feminine side, but make sure that you guys understand what that looks like for you guys. Like, you can't, a feminine person can't be with a feminine person. Someone has to stand up. We all can't cry. And a masculine and vice versa. But when you're dealing with a masculine woman, sometimes it can be tough for the simple fact, like, they don't know how to allow someone else to lead.
That is very, very true. And oftentimes they will attract men or people who can't. Because that's their energetic dynamic. It's who automatically goes up in their orbit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And
but it's the balance of it, Twist. It's literally a balancing act. Because to your point, when we balance our feminine and masculine energies correctly, I know when to sit my ass down. Mm-hmm. And I know when to stand up. I know when to fall back to let you step up and fill the space and vice versa. So when we can be balanced, we don't really have the issues that we do when we're in balance. That's why when you say a masculine woman, all it represents is a woman who operates more in her masculine than she does in her feminine. It's not to say that femininity isn't there. It's just that she doesn't lead with that. And let me also say this. Some women are comfortable being more in their masculine energy. And if that works for them, then they don't have a problem. I'm addressing those of us who realize, something, I don't really like the way I feel after being in this repetitive cycle. How do I change that? So it's realizing, do you like it or don't you? Because if you like it, if you're a feminine man, and you're with a masculine woman or a masculine partner, and you realize you love that dynamic and your partner seems to love that dynamic, then this conversation doesn't apply to you. But if you're in a dynamic that you don't like because you feel like you're never being given the opportunity to lead, or you feel like you're always having to bear the burden of leading, then that's when it's like, okay, how do I balance out? It's less about the other person. You need to step up. Sometimes we are the ones who are domineering who need to sit down to allow them to feel safe enough to do so. That's just one aspect of it.
Yes. We could go on and on about it. I'll leave my little part with this is that like you have to show someone what masculinity looks like to you, whether you're a male or female. You have to do that vice versa. Like, you'll have guys who think opening the door is masculinity, but you don't know if that like a woman wants you to open the door. She might feel like you're enabled. But like as a man, you're taught these things. Like you're supposed to open the door, you're supposed to pull the chair out. But now like you're enabling a situation. She probably didn't ask that. Find out what masculinity looks like for her. It might just be when she pulls up, she just walks in and you know to go get the groceries. You know, her opening the door is her still being feminine, but like her having her own independence. You know, like you don't know that. Don't just push the agenda of what we were taught. Learn what your partner desires and what that looks like, and I'll leave it like that. So whether you're masculine or whether you're feminine, figure out like how to balance. Portia said it for you guys. Balance is key. You know, without balance, you just go into it. Let's touch because it's getting in. So, coming into the end, we got your coaching going on. Who's your clientele? What type of do you have any deals? Do you have any bundles? What's a consultation looks like? What is one-to-one? Do you have any workshops that we can attend? I know I missed one of your no, let me not spoil it because that's probably just going to answer it. But just tell us how can we get involved in this?
Okay. Well, I'll start with this. I've mainly been working with a lot of women, single women, mostly 30s and in their 40s, and it's a huge hodgepodge of people. I've worked with and coached CEOs, doctors, real estate gurus, social media experts. I mean, like super duper professionals, entertainers, all the way down to the homegirl next door. So it does not matter who your profile is. If you are in a relationship experience that you don't like, even if it means the lack thereof, and you're tired of being single and frustrated, I work with you. And it's mainly one-on-one. I traditionally do consultations that are free. So you can go to my website, PortiaAngelCoaching.net. And my name is spelled like the car, Porsche. PortiaAngelCoaching.net, and you can book a free consultation so that we can discuss kind of where you are, where you want to be, and to see if my program is a fit for you. My program is titled Rewire for Love, and I am actually piloting a program for the men, because one thing that I realized, Twist, is it's pointless to do this work for the ladies and the men don't have the opportunity to do the same. Because one thing that I've noticed, and this is segueing into your other question about my workshops, I've kind of had to take a sabbatical because of some other things that are happening. So I haven't done one this month, but I typically do a monthly free workshop. It's a group workshop. Both men and women are invited to attend. And I usually put those on my website. So for anyone that's interested, they can go to the subscribe tab on my website, sign up for my newsletter, and I usually will send out the newsletter before the workshop so you know when and where it is, and you can sign up beforehand. But a lot of times I've had men show up and they're like, man, you know, women always get these opportunities, so it was refreshing to see that there was one where men could attend, you know, because I'm like, man,
why you trying to do the voice? What?
I know, but that's what I sound like. But that's literally what a couple of men said to me. They were like, man, everything is always for the ladies. They always have this good type of stuff. And us men, we're never invited or allowed. And I'm just like, wow, that was very eye-opening to me. And so I do actually have some male clients that I'm working with now. And it's been very eye-opening, but I haven't launched it just yet, my full-out program. I'm still in the pilot phase. What I will say is I'm moving to group coaching probably the latter half of this year or the beginning of the year. So for those who may not be able to afford the one-on-one coaching tier, I'm creating a new one where it's more financially feasible and accessible to everybody, because I believe in access. You know, part of us being in the mental health profession is just understanding the stigmas that are already associated with it, but also the access or the limitations thereof, especially when it comes to our community. You know, maybe not having the infrastructure around healthcare and the finances for that, because I believe in the work that we do. I want people to be able to do this work if they want to, because this is what determines our future and our legacy when we show up, in these spaces and
Absolutely.
we do what we do.
Mm-hmm. There you have it. Come on, y'all. Come on. I love this. I mean, we could go on and on. Relationships is inevitable. Like, it's a never-ending journey. There's no right or wrong way to do it. No one can tell you the right way to do a relationship, but they can give you some guidance. They can give you some tips. And you are one of those people to reckon with, You're married. You're doing the footwork. That's hard. One day I'll be there. But then you also being with the sisters and the brothers out there, that's very important that, like, we all get a voice, we all feel heard. And that's a challenge. And I'm excited to see, like, what you do for the brothers out there. I know that's going to be something.
Twist, I need your input. Will you be a part of this panel? Because, yeah.
I would love to make an appearance. I know that I was doing the coaching for a little while, but, I'm in school and, like, I work full time and, like, I'm still trying to figure out, like, what I want to do as far as, like, the direction that I would like to go for, like, coaching again. Mm-hmm. So, like, when I did do it, like, I love it. It's so beautiful. But I felt like I was being a disservice at the time because I kept trying to juggle so much. And I just referred everyone that was, shout out to them because I know some of them still watch. I just referred them to people out there and, like, who they would be in great hands. Hopefully I could get them back. But I doubt it. By then they'll probably be okay, But for you, sister, tell everyone who's on this channel. Some of them are familiar with you because we do come from the same communities from our sister and brother communities. But for our community now, because we're community, tell us how often we can catch your videos. And maybe give us a little spoiler of what's about to drop next. I don't know.
Ooh, okay. So as of my schedule, my content schedule has recently shifted, but what it is one video a week, one short a week. Usually the long form videos drop on Wednesday or Thursday. Shorts are over the weekend. That's either a Saturday or a Sunday. But either way, you're getting content every week from me midweek. And then when it comes to what is in the pipeline, I actually just dropped a video earlier today, which was how to make a man see you as wife material. And the one that's coming up next week has everything to do with the woo-woo. So manifestation and why it may not be working for you. I'm going to be talking about what a lot of these manifestation gurus aren't and telling you what you probably don't want to hear but need to really help you move forward. Because, people want magic pills. They want everything to just be like, I dream of Jeannie Boop. Give me the magic recipe. Let me cook up this spell and that's going to solve my problem. And I'm like, yeah, but I'm kind of one of those practical manifestors. Sometimes if it's not working, if the patch job isn't working, you kind of got to dig a little deeper to find out, okay, so what's going on here within me? You can't just put a Band-Aid over a tumor or put a spell on top of dysfunction. So you gotta really, do that inner work, or as they call it, shadow work. You gotta do that inner healing, that inner work to really assess what's going on. So I didn't give away too much, but just enough to get people to clue in if they're interested in those types of things.
Okay, there you have it. I mean, you got the coaching going on, you got the videos dropping, the women out there, the guys coming, you just working. You working. And shout out to you, got to give you your flowers while you're here because you were working overtime. I always see, like, the information. I know I'm poking fun because it's controversial, but that's what it's supposed to. You're supposed to keep the conversation going, and you always get my blood boiling, like, oh, I gotta say something in here. But I love that, like, you keep it where it's open, you keep it where it's safe, and, like, men and women alike can have, like, a conversation. It's mature. It's we keeping it cute for the people that's not in the culture. Keep it modest. There's no arguing going on, but you can share different perspectives in a more respectful manner. And I'm glad that you start those conversations because there's no right or wrong way to do relationships, but there's always a right or wrong way to have conversations. And we made sure that you put that out there. Thank you for doing the work for the sisters and the brothers, and thank you for being a part of this helping profession.